And this is Real Estate Underground.
Greetings and salutations, Real Estate Undergrounders. It is Ed Mathews with the Real Estate Underground. Today is a really cool show. I'm really excited to have a conversation with this guest. Jessie Lang from Unlocked Rentals is joining us, and she has built roughly, and she may correct me, and that's okay, $10 million plus portfolio in just 3.5 years, which is mind-boggling, especially given how difficult it is to find deals these days. Jessie, welcome to the show. And how is life in Columbus, Ohio?
Oh, life in Columbus. Well, it's been raining, but it's been good for my garden that we just planted this past weekend. So I'm not complaining.
Truly my pleasure. Tomatoes or flowers?
We do wildflowers every year and they grow about 6 feet tall and they make this beautiful path through our yard. I mean,
Awesome. We have to send me pictures. It'll give my wife ideas and then we'll probably be doing it next year.
they're so easy. It's a no-brainer.
All right. Hey, welcome to the show. I've really enjoyed following you on LinkedIn and I enjoy your podcast Unlocked as well. For those folks out there who are listening, if you're not listening to it, you should, because it's highly educational and I learned something with every episode. If you are listening to the show and when you get something out of this, I would very much appreciate if you could follow us on the platforms. It does help us grow. And with that, let's get into it. Jessie, congratulations on all your success.
Yeah.
And for those folks who haven't discovered you yet, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your companies?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, my name is Jessie Lang. I am investing here in Columbus, Ohio. I was actually born and raised in Austin, Texas, and moved to Columbus. They're actually really similar cities. So if anyone's like a fan of Austin, maybe look at Columbus because I love it here. And so in the last couple of years, January 2021 is when I've hacked the BRRRR method, which is the method I've used to acquire my portfolio. I currently have about 75 doors worth a little over $10 million. And it has been just an absolute wild ride filled with every mistake that you can imagine, from wrong financing to the SWAT team to sellers walking away at the closing table to every single thing that you can imagine. But I have kept my head above water and gotten through most of it. And so I manage everything in-house with a very small, lean, efficient team. And we are just looking to keep growing as we are.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
A lot jumped out at me, but I'm going to start with the SWAT team. Tell me that.
That's a crowd favorite. So this is a huge lesson on screening your residents properly, because this is early in my career and I got the application in and she sent some pay receipts from being a home cleaner. And I'm like, cool, great. Okay, let's go. The house next door to our rental happened to be for sale. The listing agent called me, somehow got my phone number and was like, hey, your property is pretty much stopping us from selling ours. Every showing, there has been complaints about activity. And so I'm like, oh no.
Okay.
And I head down there. There's people everywhere. And just by the time we got it sorted out and filed the eviction, all that, you can't do anything right that moment. So by the time everything happened and she got evicted, SWAT team had raided the place, shot out all the windows in the house. It was trashed. The lesson here, y'all, is actually screen your residents. Do what you're supposed to do. I'm looking back now. I wish I could find a picture of these. I've looked before. They were just handwritten receipts, all in the same pen, clearly written back to back. Absolutely no proof of income whatsoever. And I was like, move on in, come on down.
Mirror, yep, let's go. Yeah. So you do manage in-house now. So what's your process these days?
As far as screening goes,
Yeah. How do you find good?
Yep. We're really big on Zillow. That is industry standard here in Columbus. I know there's other markets that it's Facebook Marketplace or apartments.com, but we're big on Zillow. We take Zillow applications. Application comes in and we have a very thorough screening process, checking all of the employment references, past housing providers. We check social media. We check pro tip. And then we put it all into what we call applicant scorecard. And it's basically to remove any fair housing violations, any emotional, personal judgments, and just look based on length of housing, length of time at job, credit score, all that. If they score above a certain amount and they are good communicators and they have funds to move in, we move in. And it has been much better. So much better.
Yeah. It had to remove a massive amount of stress from your life.
Yes. And I say a lean team. It's me and one employee, full-time employee. And so she is handling all of this. I do give the final check, but when it was just me, my excuse for myself was, I don't have the time. They're good communicators. They're doing what they say. Let's just move them in. It'll be fine. Yeah. So
Right.
now that I've been able to outsource some of that and really put a system, a process, a checklist, we're not making excuses and like skipping corners.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. It was one of the things when every quarter we go through a process here, and I refer to it as what's stressing whoever we're talking to out.
I say I'll keep
You're
that.
like,
Yeah.
and when we identify those things, we either automate them, we delegate them, we outsource them, or we stop doing them because it takes energy away.
I
And
have, maybe this is TMI. I took this sticky note. I
yep,
literally have it on my computer at all times.
yep. And then I've added one. I had a guest on about a month and a half ago, and he was saying, don't add steps. And I love that. That was his kind of mantra. So when you find a new tenant, you mentioned a scorecard, and I'm curious, is that something that you developed in-house or?
I think I got like a very basic template somewhere years ago on the internet, and we have built it out. At this point, it's pretty custom based on our
Right.
specific requirements. We actually have a couple things throughout the process that are like little Easter eggs that we ask someone to do. And there's 2 line items on the scorecard on did they do that item. And they're little things that if you weren't paying attention, maybe you would overlook. We actually do give quite a bit of weight to if those were done. We built out over time, just making it exactly what we need and what we're looking for.
Can I get you to share the Easter eggs?
Yeah. So I'd say that we do self showings. We actually don't send anyone out from our team to the property. We collect some background information. We have an application on file. We get a copy of the ID and we give people a lockbox code so they can go see it on their own time. Knock on wood, I've done literally hundreds of these and nothing has ever gone wrong. But the Easter egg is we asked for a picture of the key back in the lockbox. And some people will say, I put it back. Some people will totally not do anything. And that's a checkbox on the application. Did they send a picture of the key in the lockbox? Because it shows that they can follow direction.
And that they're responsible.
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting. You mentioned it was plural. What's the other one?
So there's just a couple others that nothing super concrete. That's probably the biggest one. But we
Yeah.
just have a couple other. Did you answer this question? It's just a little extras here. Yeah.
What's interesting, I read a book, I'm trying to remember the author, Mike Butler had talked about landlording on autopilot, I think is what it
Ooh,
was.
okay.
He talked about a similar scenario where he provides a lockbox and exact same process. I don't know if he makes them send back a picture of the key, although that's really clever. And I looked at that and went, oh, I don't know if I can do that.
Do you want me to talk you into it?
Please.
It's valuable if you don't have the resources to go and do showings.
Yeah.
We are within an hour radius of Columbus, all of my properties.
Yep.
And a showing from my employees, we all work from home. So from her home office to a property could be a 3-hour round trip.
Right.
And that's just not something that makes sense to do. So it was somewhat by necessity. And so if you are in that same position, what we do is we actually collect the application first. We don't even entertain a conversation with someone without an application.
Right.
And so once we have the application, we know where they live. We know where they work. We know a lot about them.
Yep.
Plus, we ask for a picture of the driver's license. And then from there, knock on wood, no one has ever done anything crazy because we're not sending it to people with criminal backgrounds. We're not sending it, we're picking and choosing who we send this to based on the information that we have. And the only thing I could really think is someone would squat or would steal the appliances or potentially trash the house, which knock on wood, if you stole my appliances, I'd be out $1,500 and I've saved 2 to 3 hours per showing for the last 100 showings. Like,
Right. Which is thousands of dollars in value.
I'm self-insuring. If something goes wrong, we're still coming out ahead.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm intrigued. Maybe we'll do a pilot program on one of our buildings. See if it works here.
I just use a standard lockbox, but I have quite a few students who have heard this and they're like, Jessie, you're crazy. So they've installed more of a smart lock, maybe more for Airbnb style, or a keypad with the Bluetooth. So you can even do that. It's going to cost a little bit more, but then you can give a single code to someone, what time they were there, all that. So there's some like advanced technology to make it a little more secure. We just give people lockbox.
Yeah. So we use coded locks to eliminate the lockouts. The 2 a.m. Hey, I'm just coming back. Forgot my key. Can you help me out? And I get that voicemail. at 6 a.m. the next morning.
Office is
So we
closed.
eliminated those.
I said office is closed.
So we were able to eliminate those, but it would be easy to do a showing code to be able to put that in there and know when people come in. Interesting. All right. So you mentioned students. So tell me all about your curriculum.
Absolutely. The program that I started 3 years ago now, which is crazy to say, it's called Rentals Made Easy. And that is the exact goal is I built my entire portfolio through the Burr method. There are so many different steps along the way that are going to help you financially with long-term management. And the goal is to set everything up the right way from the beginning to make your ongoing management super easy. And so that's the made easy part.
Yeah.
And it's a program we're super intimate. We have 100-ish students, a little over 100. So I know everyone's business.
Right.
And we're investing all over the United States. There are a lot investing in the Midwest. It's a hot place to be right now.
Yeah, you bet.
We have a lot of California. We have some Vegas investors, Arizona, who are all investing here in the Midwest.
Yeah, we've been looking at Indianapolis and I've fallen in love with that market.
It's hot. We have some students investing there because we do deal analysis every single week. And I look at student deals and I'm like, in Northwest Indiana, I have one student who's literally pulling money out of every single burr. And we're leaving money in every burr. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, let's look.
Yeah. When you talk about Burr, let's talk about that real quick. And then I want to talk about your book. Actually, let's talk about your book first. Rental Made Easy is the name of your course. And as luck would have it, it's also the name of your book, right?
Look at that.
How about that? Well done.
Yes. And so
Marketing week.
this is Unlock the Proven Step-by-Step System to Build Wealth Through Rental Properties. And it's exactly what it is. It is a system. It's a recipe. It's a plan. Like it's a legitimate step-by-step. There's no fluff in here. I talk you through every single step of the Burr method, how to pay for them, where to find the deals, renovate, what contractors to use, what renovations to do. Don't get caught in the HGTV trap of doing way too much. I see investors like doing additions. I'm like, no, the repeat is the fourth R that people so often overlook. And it's how do you make it scalable? How do you make it a business? How are you not just doing 1, 2, 3 year? And so we cover the whole burr. And then it also goes into ongoing management. So exactly how I do our maintenance requests, proactive inspections, collecting rent, like it is the whole shebang. So we are on Amazon and Kindle version, or you can get that paperback here.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on the book. One of the things that I'm always amazed by is the fact that a book like the one you've created is you're basically boiling down a block of years in your life where you have done a lot of really smart things and a couple of whoops, stubbed your toe kind of things. The books that I really enjoy reading are the ones that are like your book, right? Where it's step by step. I want to hear the stories and that's awesome. That's great because it helps from a context perspective. But really what I want is do this. When this happens, then do this. And at the end, this is what it looks like, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. Everything that I have learned over the last, I know I said I started buying with the Burr method in January 2021, but I've actually been investing in real estate accidentally is my start. And that's since 2012. So I have at least a decade of mistakes under my belt that I have worked around, figured out a better way to do it. And it's all in the book.
Yeah. So you and I started right around the same time. So how do you get accidentally into the real estate business?
Oh, like we all do.
Inherited property, or you'd move and decide you don't want to sell it?
It was that one. So I bought a little condo in Austin, Texas for $92,000, which I mean, now I'm just like, obviously not the crazy deal, but it was an appropriate price. And I put my life savings down. I could afford the mortgage on paper. I didn't want to pay all my money. I don't want to be house poor. So I started renting out the rooms, did that for a couple of years. My partner and I at the time was one of the roommates. We split up. I knew that it would be crazy to sell it. I knew that I couldn't just pay for 2 mortgages. And I knew that I emotionally probably didn't want to live there.
Right.
So in the span of 2 weeks, I was living my everyday life to having 4 college boys renting out my condo.
Perfect.
What can go wrong?
Right. Because there was no beer involved in that transaction.
No single beer was, they were great boys.
Yes. I'm sure they were fine. Couldn't fix afterwards, right?
Yeah, exactly. They were actually, if I look back, probably top 10% of residents I've ever had. They
Right.
were great. And and they did everything. I joke that they could have ended my career before I ever got started,
Right.
but it worked out. And so the next couple of years, I actually did that process twice more. And so I had roommates where I was living in an owner occupied finance property. I had 2 long-term rentals, also with owner occupant financing. Had my W-2 and I was 24, 25, and was
Right.
feeling pretty good about myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I regret every house I've ever sold, and
You
exact reason.
I hear you. But if you regret it, like the money went to something, right?
Oh, we bought the
It
next
went to,
house.
it went to something better. So I do. I look back and sometimes I am like stab in the heart,
Right.
but it had its purpose.
Yeah, no. So my wife and I did the exact same thing. We bought a place in just south of Boston when we were living up there. And when we decided to have kids, we moved to a house and then sold the condo. And that condo, I think we bought it for similar price, like 95, 99 grand. I think we sold it for 180 and thought we hit the lottery.
Similar. I sold for
And
200.
and then I looked back on it a couple, 3 years ago and it's 400 or 500 grand. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this little dinky 1,100 square foot, 2 bedroom, 1 bath condo is now 400 grand plus.
They've made
That
the
would have been
mistakes
awesome.
to look it up a couple of times and I just can't.
Yeah, I stopped doing it too. It makes
Yeah, I
me,
just,
because then I get into the what ifs.
yeah, exactly right. My takeaway from it though is I can't go back and change it. Anytime you mentioned what's stressing it out. Mine is I always ask, what are my headaches? My whole team knows that. Is it a headache for Jessie? People always ask, how do you know when you're going to sell a property? That's my answer. Is it a headache? It's bothering me. If it is, then we'll maybe sell. I have taken some of my previous sale lessons and tried to apply them. Is it something I can refinance versus selling? Is it something that maybe it's just the resident is the issue and we can give notice and have it resolved in 3 months from now without
Yeah.
having to sell? So our strategy is keep.
Yeah.
I am keeping as much as humanly possible. We have active investors listening. You guys all know that is the true key to wealth.
Yep.
And the flipping and the wholesaling, I've done it all. And that's the icing on the cake. You need money to live. Like we do a couple flips a year and that it's great, but it's really the holding.
The holding and the cash flow that results is what sets you free. Yeah, I enjoy flipping. I love everything about it. I was telling somebody not that long ago, I was like, I don't drink, I don't do drugs. Flipping is my cocaine. I love finding them. I love figuring out the project. I love fixing them. I love selling them. And then, but it's empty calories, right? It's okay. I got to go do it again. If I want another X amount of dollars, I got to go do it again. And that's actually what pushed me to really expand our portfolio in terms of rental properties is that exact reason is, you mean I got to do this again and again and again and again?
Yeah. I always tell people the difference between flipping and renting is if you flip, you're going to get paid once. You're going to get a big payday. And that's hard to walk away from sometimes.
True.
You get the big payday or you can keep it and you get 100 paydays and then you get a really big payday
Right.
when you finally sell it. So you're still getting your payday. It's just small, double, triple, quadruple, what it maybe would have been.
Exactly. And the real key there is refinancing, right? Because why don't you tell everybody why you want to refinance as opposed to sell?
So if your goal is to pull cash out and you have enough equity in the property, you can refinance, keep the asset, and you may not get as much as if you were going to sell outright, but you're going to get a good percentage of that equity back in your pocket. So it's a win-win.
And it's not income, it's debt. So you
Correct.
get to keep all of it, which is a
Yeah.
beast thing. So
Yes. No, I see where you're going with that.
it's a phenomenal thing in that when you sell something, you have a partner, you have a ghostly partner in the background, and that is Uncle Sam. And he's going to be holding his hand out. And that also the governor of the state you live in is also going to want a little slice too.
Maybe your city and maybe your county and maybe where you're
Exactly.
highly taxed.
Yeah. Yeah, we do too. I live in the Northeast. So, everybody's got their hand out governmentally here. So, all right. Hey, let's get into the final 5 and then we'll see where it goes. Jessie, I think the business you built is super impressive and obviously you're doing really well. Nevertheless, you get up on Monday morning, you go to work. I'm curious what your purpose is. What drives you to hop out of bed on Monday, hair on fire, ready to go?
Okay, Ed, I've thought about this and I'm going to tell you my absolute most truthful answer. And it may not be the answer you hear very often. It's fear. It is fear of I love my parents to death, but not having the life that they have. It started as fear driven, and I think it really still is. We're finally getting out of that phase and moving more towards the bigger purpose, but I'm truthfully just starting to figure that out in the last year or so. And it has been do everything I can to have the life that I want, that I can give to others. But I'm just getting out of the cover my bases and make sure that I'm taken care of and my family's taken care of.
We're all reading the same book, and some people are a few chapters ahead and some people are a few chapters behind. And that whole process of realizing, hey, I actually have it covered. Now comes, okay, what can we do with this?
With this phase.
Really cool, fun time to be in this business.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's fun and I love it, but it's also a little bit overwhelming because there's so many options. My whole goal was solve as many options as I can, and now I have them all, and I'm like, slow down.
Obviously, you've got your head on straight, and I think a lot of that has to do with excellent parents and probably mentors along the way. So I'm curious about the people who have had influence in your life from a mentorship perspective. What is the best advice you ever got, and who gave it to you?
Yes. So Brad Clarizio was my mentor that really helped me figure out Burr. He wrote the foreword to the book. So he's my agent, real estate agent to this day. He told me January 2021, I keep bringing up that date because it was literally just everything switched. I was buying everything the wrong way. I was doing conventional 20% down or just buying one a year with my house hacking. And it was slow. It was painful. Was dabbling in Airbnb and I was looking at like self-storage and I was wholesaling and I was doing all these things. And he sat me down. We worked together all of 2021. He sat me down on our January meeting and was like, pick one. Pick one. So that is my advice for everyone is there's so much information out there to the point that it's overwhelming. And if you don't really figure out what you like, what's works for you and your family, is financially responsible, that you have the resources for, find what that is and stick to it and do not pull your head out of the sand until you're an expert in that. I'm 4 years into Burr and I'm barely pulling my head out of the sand to look at other strategies.
So I'm 11, 12, almost 13 years into this. And I think my head is still in the sand in some ways.
Good.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I hear you on that. I think it's a process. This business demands that you keep learning, right? Yeah. And focus is such a huge thing, right? The rule we have is we won't take advantage of that opportunity and start a business unless we can point to the human being that's going to run it that's not named Ed Mathews, right?
Mm.
And so that way, because I have profound entrepreneurial ADD, a shiny object comes into my periphery and I'm like, oh, what's that over there? Ooh, that looks interesting. And we finally had to put that in place just to keep me from making people crazy that work for us.
I'm so guilty myself. I wasn't seeing results for so many years. And then I started seeing results. And I'm like, that really helps you when you start seeing that something's working. If you're doing a workout plan and a diet and exercise and it's not working, it's going to be hard to stick to. But once you walk past a mirror and catch yourself, you're like, oh, okay, that might be working. And then it's going to be so much easier to stick to.
Yeah, right on. I agree. So I fundamentally believe, both from my corporate days and even now running our businesses here, that I think the folks that work here learn so much from our mistakes. And I encourage people to make mistakes, break glass, right? Because I think you learn so much from those rather than you don't learn as much from your successes. So I'm curious about professionally, what's a mistake, a decision you'd love to have back? And if you recovered, how did you recover?
I will pridefully say I've recovered from every mistake. I'm still here standing.
Yeah.
Things have taken me down for a day, a week, a month, but we got back up. So I wouldn't be here if something took me down. So I would say I have the SWAT team story, for example. I have a lot of tangible mistakes like that, but really the biggest one I would say is how long it took me to hire. I needed help and support literally years before I got the courage to take that jump. And I have had someone working for me either heavy part-time or full-time for the last 3 years on the rental portfolio. I probably needed it 2 years before that. It took so long to get out of that DIY mindset. And I still catch myself being like, oh no, I could do that faster. And then I'm like, no, 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 delegate. So I wish I had done that sooner because my focus should be on acquisitions. It should be on team building. It should be on raising money. And it shouldn't be on the day to day deliver, like appliance delivery. I don't need to be involved in that.
Use of your time, right?
No, took me way too long to get out of that. And I don't know where I'd be now if I'm
It's-
out of what we've done.
Had you not done it, you'd still be buying them one at a time, right?
I would be in big trouble if I didn't have help.
And so I'm curious, now that you're beginning to really scale, actually you already have scale, but now you're continuing to grow beyond that. How many properties are you acquiring a year these days?
So the first three that I was buying heavy with the Burr method, we were like 20, 25 a year. I will say this last 18, 24 months, I'm closer to one a month. So
Mhm.
still we had 12 to 15 a year. We had come down a little bit. The numbers just don't pencil quite like they used to. We were talking briefly before this that we're starting to see sellers come around. The COVID days of what's in their head on their
Right.
values have maybe they've come around. So
Yeah.
we're seeing more. I'm getting a lot of referrals recently, which is awesome. But I'm doing some more flipping too.
Okay.
It doesn't feel, based on the past couple of years, it feels very slow and very manageable.
It's amazing how your systems allow you to get into that mindset and be able to not be intimidated by 12 to 15 properties a year. Going slow right now.
I do the same thing every single time. It
Right.
is the identical rehab with the same team,
Yep.
people I've been with for years. I know the prices. I know what it will be worth. We're buying the same neighborhoods. Like, I am not reinventing the wheel. That would be impossible if all these were, we do some seller finance, but I was funding them 20 different ways and doing HGTV rehabs. Like, that would never work, but it's
Right.
because it's literally identical. I don't even walk a property until the final punch list. That's the only time I visit. Just, I want to see what it's like. I want to see what we're
Right.
advertising. But my GC, they know everything. They know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah. That's awesome. They have their own business and then you just hire them.
Sure.
Those guys are
That's
worth weight in gold.
Stuff I'm looking at. I hope they're not listening, but that is something I have considered bringing in house. But they're such a good partner. And like, is the time and cost savings worth it?
Yeah. The 10 to 18% that you're going to save on cost, is that is that worth the headache? Yeah. Okay. So usually when I meet owners and executive investors like yourself, they have a pretty clear vision around what success means. And I'm just talking about when you look around in certain aspects and characteristics in your life, you're like, okay, I'm good. I'm succeeding. How do you define success in your own life?
Success in my own life. I don't have some like epiphany answer. I would say it's very relatable. It's what we're all looking for. And it is time freedom. I don't work on Fridays. This is a special occasion.
Carving out time then.
I don't work on Fridays. We travel a lot. I'm somewhere every month, if not more. We have super active social life. We foster animals. We actually have some people coming tonight to look at a cat we have. And so, and just the ability to do that, to be able to pay for all these things and not really think too hard about it.
Right.
Of course, I look at my account, but I'm not stressed over it. It's just to do what I want, when I want, with who I want to.
Yeah, time success is something that I really value myself. So I've really enjoyed this conversation and congratulations again on all your success. I can't wait to keep in touch and see 3 years from now, it's going to be an explosion of your portfolios.
I appreciate it.
When not talking about real estate, what do you like to do? How do you spend
A
your
lot of travel. That's a big one. Like I said, we foster animals and then we also have 5 of our own pets. So no kids, but tons of furry kids.
kids?
Yeah, they keep us busy in a good way and
Right.
then keep us laughing all day. Friends, family. I'm running a 10K tomorrow. I don't know why. I signed up for it like months ago with these aspirations that I would train. And of course I haven't. So we'll see.
So Jessie, if somebody wants to learn more about you or get your book or learn more about your company or your course, what's the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, so the book is on Amazon. Like you said, it's Rentals Made Easy by Jessie Lang. And then I have a free Facebook group where I go live every single week with guests, trainings. And so just a really great community. There's a couple of thousand people in there, but if you have any questions about property, anything like that, I'll answer for you. And then we also have a little free mini course that we touch briefly on the Burr method, but I go much deeper into the method, what to look at each point of the process. And so that's a free mini course that we offer to anyone interested.
Awesome. Jessie Lang from Unlocked, thank you so much for your time today. It was really a pleasure to speak with you, and continued good fortune.
I appreciate it.
This has been the Real Estate Underground podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. It helps us grow. Until next time, happy investing.